Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. I'm Ash. And this is today's comic, Heroes in Crisis. Oh boy, probably the most talked about comic since White Knight. Not necessarily for good reasons, right? Even more talked about than Bendis. Woo! I was not going to get this. I was talked into not getting this. I did not like what I had heard about what it was going to be about. I don't really like these big, mega crossover type stories, especially when you have ongoing ones that you haven't resolved. Doomsday Clock, Metal. Like, focus on those. Those are stories that still have more legs, and they shouldn't just be tossed out. I want to see more of that. You want to make your events big. They need to have repercussions going on for years. Not just like, oh, okay, 2 months later, now there's a new event. But then something told me, get this book anyway. Don't just listen to what everyone's saying. I mean, I even watched a review by Sergeant Bats, another small-time reviewer who hated this book. And I watched his review, and I was like, I don't know. Something just egged me to get this, and I was like, you know what? Even if it's bad, you can be a part of this, and you can, because I just buy comics for myself, so I pretty much review just decent comics because I pretty much know what I like, and comics are generally consistent unless you're throwing different creative teams bouncing all over. So, I don't know, I was going to get this comic, and I just, I was like, don't just buy it so you can read the first issue, see for yourself, don't just trust what other people say. And I'm really, really glad I did. Let me just tell you right now, I stopped watching the Kavanaugh hearings so that I could bring you this review. I'm going to try to keep it short. I've got somewhere to be. But I do want to devote the time that this needs. I'm going to tell you right now, Heroes in Crisis is one of the best comics I have read since getting back into comics. What? All the hate and everyone spewing forth the shit? They're wrong. I just watched a stream by Ethan Van Sciver, Comic Artist Pro Secrets, sorry. He's probably not listening to little Peabody like me, but his stream, I commented in it, was respectfully a joke. None of these guys had read the book. I think one guy on the stream had read the book. Everyone else was going off a CBR article, which, are you kidding me? CBR, like the guys that we make fun of all the time, to trash this book. It was pure prejudice, pure confirmation bias. It was garbage. It's like what I watch with the Star Wars stuff. We've now become, at least a certain part of us, become so predicated towards hating the new Disney Star Wars that it doesn't matter. They could deliver the original trilogy like Second Coming, and we would still find reasons to hate on it just because we're prejudiced. I went into this book thinking it was going to be trash, honestly. And I broke one of my cardinal rules that says don't buy books, just review them for trash. I don't have the budget. I'm not making money like Zach and some of these guys that I can say, oh, okay, you throw me a couple bucks, I'll go buy a book and roast it. I also don't really think I'm funny to entertain you by roasting. So I just try to buy the books I like, talk about comics I like, what I like about them, and just be a part of the discussion. So here we are. I got this book, and I was pleasantly surprised. First of all, the quality of this is great. It's got this like cardstock cover and glossy. Now, I still think $3.99 is too expensive for a book, but I would have expected this book to be at least $4.99 based on the quality. And they also give you the free digital book, which I wish every comic would come with, but whatever. Yeah. Here we go. I just want to show you I'm not going to spoil this book either, by the way. There's a couple of big reveals. Some people have spoiled it. I think it's something that, it's meant to be a big, like, oh my gosh moment. I'm going to try my best not to reveal that. But I really want to focus on this first page here. That was how the book opens up. We got Booster Gold sitting in a diner. Now, Bats said this artist, Clayman, was trash. Dude, Bats, if you're listening, you are out of your mind. This is, in today's comic world, this is grade A prime. So we have Booster Gold. Thank you. My pleasure. Don't get too many superheroes up here in Gordon, Nebraska, let me tell you. Shirley? There's another hero coming. That's not a hero. Oh, that's a villain. Oh, well now, there's gonna be a fight? Yeah, there's gonna be a fight. DC Comics presents. And I'm gonna tell you, with this art, and look at this layout, like how she's just like peering through the window, the storytelling, ding ding ding, come through the door. Visually, you wouldn't even need words to get what's kind of happening in this story. So cinematic. I don't really know much about Clayman. I want to get more to know about him. This guy is top tier talent. I love this. Now, DC Comics presents Heroes in Crisis. And this is a fantastic shot. Even though it's so simple, normally you would save this for a big fight scene with, dynamic characters and action. This just works for me. We have, obviously, which is Superman flying over the middle America, the flyover states. Part 1, I'm Just Warming Up, by Tom King, writer, Clayman, artist. Now, we get these, which I think is a Tom King thing. These little 9-panel shots. These didn't excite me, but they didn't bother me either. Like I think some people were. And then I saw one reviewer complain about the lack of change of expressions, how these are the same shots. Let's look here. This shot is very similar to this shot. They probably reused the face. But the body's redrawn. This is redrawn. That's redrawn, 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 redrawn. I don't get this. Like, people complain about, like, oh, these two, like, really? I've seen whole Marvel issues where all 9 panels is the same thing with a different word balloon. When you have really good art, sometimes you have to let artists slide. This is how they make up time by, I forget there's like a technical term for this where they repeat stuff, but this is super minimal. So we get this like Harley talking to the camera sort of thing, and it's all about this place, which is the Sanctuary, that the Justice League Trinity characters, I guess, created to help heroes deal with their trauma. Now, I'm going to address this too. Some people have been like, this is stupid, it's so depressing, and we don't need comics. How many comics do we see? Like Ethan, they're like, look at all these down faces all the time. Look, this is not Justice League. This isn't your Superman comic. This is a mini-series, separate from the normal series you're reading, which means they should be able to do something different. I don't want my comics to always be confined in a perfect little box, and this is the rules that you always must follow. I don't want. This is why I didn't complain about the Batawang in, the new Batman miniseries, because it's a miniseries. If it's not the type of thing I want, I skip it and I move on. Now, when you're invested in an ongoing series like Batman, and then they do really outside the box things like that, then you have more room to complain because you're like, whoa, this is not why I subscribe to this. Because you legitimately are a subscriber. You invest every month or twice a month. This is something you can totally skip. If it's not your cup of tea, if you're like, I don't really want a story that's like dark and depressing and gets into the psyche of these characters. I just want to see them as fun heroes. That is a completely valid opinion. right? Like, I'm not going to say, well, you're stupid to have that opinion. You're like, no, have that opinion. You enjoy comics for whatever reason you want to enjoy comics. But don't persecute an individual comic for being, that's a mini-series, separate from everything else, from being what you don't want. I don't know, that's just my little rant there. Be open-minded to that, at least. At least be just willing to accept and say, hey, you know what? That's for you. I'm going to continue on with these comics over here that I like. And so be it. So we get this from Harley Quinn, and it's kind of cool. Gives us a little, well, not really her. She's just batshit crazy, but it's intended to sort of like get you into the psyche of the character a little bit. Then we go back to the diner shop scene, and this kind of reminds me almost of like a Tarantino-esque shot, when he devises a scene with like heavy dialogue, even though this isn't super heavy, but it's sort of that casual talk dialogue, and it's kind of refreshing in a way, and it comes off so smooth and easy, and I really think it's a combination between Tom King's writing talents, and despite whatever prejudices you have about low T Tom King, the guy is a talented writer. Okay, let's just at least agree on that. And he is able to write really nice, smooth dialogue here that fits. And Clay Mann's art just cinematic. It's like kind of when you match a really good screenplay and a really good cinematographer, and you can just be like, wow. That's what I feel here. So these two characters are having a discussion, and it's building up to something. We already said there's going to be a fight, and they're just kind of going off, and it's just waiting for this inevitable to happen. Meantime, we skip to Superman flying over. He reaches his destination. Then we get another one of these little talks with character Blue Jay, and Blue Jay talks about himself and whatever. And we go back to the diner, and the characters still having their talk. And I'll let you read, what happens. I really do think you should read. And, of course, then it breaks out into a fight. And, man, it's vicious. I'm going to tell you what. I hate Harley Quinn. I have always hated Harley Quinn. I liked her in this a lot. I mean, I was like, holy shit, this is the Joker. Like, this is... I really liked it. And the maniacal face that's portrayed right here. And she's just he's eating his pie, and she's just like, bam, stabs him. Just vicious. And then this shot from outside, because Booster Gold's like, oh, fucking got to defend himself. And then does his thing, which you don't see, but you're left to your imagination. And he's just now like, don't make me hurt you, because obviously he's got powers and she doesn't. And she's just, she's crazy. So she's like, nah, you pretty thing. I'm going to hurt you. And she's like wiping his blood under her eyes like, like a football player putting the little tar. Oh, it's just so well done. Then we got the other Justice League characters on their way to the Sanctuary. Batman, I'm 13 minutes out. Don't touch anything. Bruce, he knows. Yeah, I won't. I mean, I have to see there. And so this is the part where I don't really want to spoil. There's some dead people in the fields, some characters you may or may not know. Then we get this other character, Hotspot, talking about his whole thing. And I really liked this dialogue the best. He talks about, I'm Hotspot, and I have a catchphrase. I'm just warming up. And he's sort of just like looking... realizing, yeah, I'm not too comfortable with that. It's good, right? I've been using it a lot. So, I kind of like the way that dialogue flowed. That character gave us personality. Okay, spoiler, I guess. There's Hotshot. There's other characters that I'm going to try to avoid. Then we go back to the fight between Booster and Harley Quinn. And she's singing along, la la la, the song, and she's fighting him. And he's really obviously holding back, because I think if he just gave her everything he had, he would toast her, which I don't really understand. This is one thing I was a little bit weird on. I was like, why aren't you just waylaying into her? She is a psychotic murderer, right? She's not just like Wonder Woman under mind control, and you're like, oh, I can't hurt her. This chick, you just do whatever you need to do. If you kill her, so be it. She deserves everything she gets. But, it's the old school comic book, male heroism. I can't hurt a woman, can't kill people. But she didn't have that problem. Here comes the knife. And then finally, it's like fist to the throat. And he's like, had enough. And this is like, if you're a guy who's ever been accosted by a woman, and you're just like, man, and you just know, you're like, I don't hit women, it's not right to hit a woman, but they're just like, just beating on you and hitting on you and taking advantage of that fact, knowing you're not going to hurt me, you stupid punk. And there's a point where you reach and you're just like, look, I've had enough. You're not going to assault me and take advantage of this idea that you don't get hit. You break a line and it's fair game. And Booster's like choking. I don't know. I felt as a guy there's some sort of emotion here, and it was good. And I just can't get over this art. The coloring is a little pale for my liking. It makes it feel a little bit bland, but I don't necessarily have a problem with it because I know the story is supposed to be more mature and not like a happy story. This is so I think the bright colors of a typical comic would feel out of place. So here we have Superman at the outside of Sanctuary. There's blood. We have Arsenal talking about his drug addiction that he's gone through. Some people complained about this. I found no problems. This 9-panel thing with Arsenal here, talking about how he got addicted to pain meds and all this stuff because he doesn't have superpowers and he had to try to keep up. I thought this was really character building. Now, I don't have a long time history with Arsenal, but this made me go, I want to know more about this guy. This is more what DC needs, in my opinion. This is a Marvel-like thing where you break down the vulnerabilities and problems of a character. They're more human, and they're more like us. That's the whole Marvel. Marvel characters are like us. DC characters are what we wish we were. Someone else said that, and I've always thought that was a good breakdown thing. So more Harley Quinn. This fight just goes on forever, and it's cool. And finally, Booster's like, fuck. And he flies up in the sky thinking, all right, I'm just going to fly up here. She can't really do much to me because she'll kill herself. Like, hey, we'll both fall. And she's like, yeah, well, duh. Just keep stabbing because she's crazy. And you're just like, damn woman. Almost spoiled something there. I'm sure if you really want to spoil something, maybe you can go back and freeze frame. But they see some dead bodies. And yeah, some important dead bodies here on this page. Here's my iPad. Yeah. So yeah, he's fighting, and it goes on, and they end up just both kind of like petered out in a field. And then we finally wrap up with Booster giving his whole thing. And it doesn't have a solid ending because it's part 1 of 9. So you're kind of left hanging. Not really hanging. It's not a cliffhanger, but it's sort of just, there's no real wrap up, right? But it's a pause. It's definitely an end of a chapter, which I appreciated. And when it was done, I was just like, holy shit. What did I just read? This was fantastic. I did not have a single complaint. I mean, the closest thing I came to a complaint was when Harley was kicking the shit out of Booster Gold, and I was like, this doesn't make sense, but I realized he was holding back, and I was like, she just kind of caught him by surprise, and it's Booster Gold. It's not like it's Batman. So, I 100%, I was like, wait, why is everyone trashing this? I can get the subjective idea of this isn't your cup of tea. I can get this idea like, I don't want to see a bunch of heroes dead. I don't want to see all this morose talking about our feelings and, the whole like psychologist, on the couch moments. if you don't want that, that is a fair statement, but it's not a criticism. You definitely can't criticize the art. Holy crap. Clay Mann, I don't know why I haven't known about you. You're fantastic. This is one of the best art I've seen in a book all year. This is the best start of a story. And I will caveat here, I got to be careful. Because Miracle Man, I did get Miracle Man #1, and it was pretty good. And everything, that's the only one I have. And everything I've heard so far is that comic went off a cliff somewhere around issue 5 or 6. Now, Miracle Man #1 wasn't this good, though. This is solid. So if you are critiquing this, I will go to bat for this. I want people who read this to tell me how I'm wrong and be fair. Don't say, oh, it's, superheroes being morose. That's not a criticism. That's taste. The dialogue in this comic is spot on. There's no cringy, goofy, tee-hee-hee, silly Billy moments. There's no characterization that just feels wildly out of character. It's meaningful. It's heartfelt. It's efficient. There's no over. One thing like a lot of weak writers might tend to do sometimes is be overly verbose, like throw in too many words to kind of cover up their inability. Tom King is super efficient with his words. And man, I just cannot get over the visual storytelling. Even if you're not a fan of maybe the line work, right? Because comics have that subjective appeal, and certain artists have a certain type of aesthetic that you go, oh wow, I just love looking at that. Rob Liefeld is a great example. Dude has many, many flaws as an artist, but some people just love his aesthetic. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is the opposite here, right? Like, you can hate this aesthetic, potentially, and I would probably actually suggest to you that maybe it's the coloring that's bothering you. But this panel work, the storytelling, visual storytelling, is spot on. This is some of the best I have seen in the business today. So, again, I cannot praise this book enough. It's got the nice matte paper, thick, solid cover stock, $3.99, great writing. There is not a better book, in my estimation, by the big two currently in print. That's how good this is. I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to say 5 stars because it's book 1 of 9. But this is 4-star material for sure. And if every issue stays this good and and the ending to this is good, this is a 5-star series. This is going to go down, and I don't want to be like that because, Diversity in Comics said the same kind of thing about Miracle Man at the beginning, which is why I bought issue 1, because he was like, this is the next Watchmen. It's so amazing. I'm not saying this is the next Watchmen, but I'm saying this is damn good, and it has the potential to go great places. It also has the potential to crash and burn. We'll have to see where it goes. This is a fantastic start. 4 stars if you are not prejudiced against this material. If you're inclined to this, then maybe this is 5 stars for you. Absolutely loved it. If you agree or disagree, I want to hear comments. This is going to be a very polarizing book, I think, just because of the reputations and a lot of the opinions that have been put out there. This is sort of going to be like The Last Jedi. I kind of feel like this is The Last Jedi of comics, which, by the way, disclaimer, I think Last Jedi is a good movie, so you might just go, oh, shit, Ash, now I know the book sucked because I hate Last Jedi. Well, I could debate that with you, too. But there's going to be that level of polarization, I think. So please check this book out. It's worth a buy, I promise you. And tell me what you think in the comments, please. I really want to know. This is why I do these videos. I like to have the conversation. I like to see other people's perspectives. My perspective is not the only way. And I hope you got something out of this video. I hope especially that you hear something different, because I think the majority of the opinions that are currently out about the book are highly negative. And Bats, if you're watching, You're wrong, buddy. You were wrong about this book. We need to have a talk. We need to have a talk. All right, yeah, and you can go check out his channel, Sergeant Bats. Have a good one. Bye.